Morning everyone, Helena here with Assistant Editor Kat at the Nail Desk, and we have a very special guest at the Scratch offices this morning. We have Celebrity Nail Stylist and Session Stylist of the Year winner at the Scratch Stars 2018 and 2019, Nickie Rhodes-Hill.
Hi!
So if you've got any questions about session styling or indeed the Scratch Stars, then feel free to ask. You know what to do on the social platforms, but we're going to give you a little insight into her life. So yeah, Nickie, it's been a month since you won your Scratch Star award, your second one. How did that feel?
Well, I was quite speechless at the time. I think it was a really great photo of me coming through across the floor. No, it was lovely. It's really humbling, really honoured though, because there's so many wonderful girls out there with such creative output for session work, and they're equally as, you know, what's the word?
Deserving?
Yeah, equally, just as equal, deserving of the award as anyone.
Yeah,
so yes, it was a surprise, because I honestly this year didn't think it would happen.
Oh, it was a very tough category, like you said. It was an amazing and huge congratulations once again.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
what do you see as the biggest challenge in the session world? It's quite competitive, isn't it?
It's quite competitive, but at the same time it's quite a small industry. It's wherever you go, whatever shoot you're doing, whatever location you're at, there's always somebody you've met before, if not a whole entire team you've met before, and that goes right from the day one, from assisting, going on to your next job as assistant. There's somebody from the first job, and then it's like pyramid selling. It gets a bit wider and wider and bigger, but it stays the same small industry.
Yeah.
So yes, it's everything's a challenge, because everything's so creative, and everyone's got so many different creative visions. You don't know what you're doing from one day to the next when you're on a job.
That's the thing. I guess it's that it sounds like quite an inconsistent role to be in, but exciting at the same time. Is that the case?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. I mean, I quite like inconsistency, because I think there's always room for improvement then, because you can improve on the next job. But even though you do your best job every day you do it, there's always room to think, oh, I could have done that bit better, when you reflect on it the next day, or you go to the next job and think, oh, well, that's a different story, but I could do that this time a bit better than I did before.
Absolutely. So very exciting one to be. Keeps you on your toes, I guess.
Definitely, yeah.
But how did you get into it? When did you get into it?
Well, funnily enough, I was back at college doing hairdressing, funnily enough, and Lisa Smith said to me, would I like to assist her at one of the fashion shows? I think it was Tom Ford. And I'd always wanted to, I'd been in fashion, done the various things at fashion shows before London Fashion Week even began. So I'd worked at, we used to be called the London Pret, so Pret-a-Porter in London. So, but that wasn't anywhere like it was. Most of it was done at the old Chelsea Old Barracks in London. And so Somerset House and all the various locations didn't really happen unless you were just doing minor presentations in your showroom. And so we used to have like a Olympia, funnily enough. All the London Pret used to operate from there. So people like Anya Hindmarsh started there, and she had like a little booth with one bag, which I got one of, and she sold it, and that's what started her off. She had then moved into big premises in Beecham Place, and I think she's still there now. But yeah, so it's sort of, I got involved in it because I've always drawn to fashion, always drawn to nails, and I thought this is a different aspect to day-to-day salon, mobile work and things like that, and I just found it really interesting to sort of like a different level of creativity.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of like drew me to it, and the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it.
Oh, fantastic. And I presume, obviously, you're signed to an agency, which is very important in the world of session styling.
Yeah.
So what does an agent actually do for you? Why do you need one? Why is it so important?
They often can, if they're good, they're like your PR to a certain extent, not all of it, because you're your own best PR at the end of the day. They do your marketing. They will send, if a job comes up which they want, a production company wants you optioned for, they put you forwards. They send out a little mini like press kit, I suppose, about you, about what you've done, a link to stuff on their website, so that you can a prospective producer can see what you've been doing, what you're likely to be able to achieve. And they also can, they keep up to date with payments, so make sure that you're paid on time and stuff, that, which is sometimes a blessing, but quite often, especially when you're paid all of a sudden, 2 days after a job, that's unheard of, but it does happen. Other times it's like 30 days, sometimes it can be 6 months, just depends. So you need somebody as a buffer in between you and the client sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've done it before I had an agent. I did it all myself. I was my own agent, my NPR, my own accountant, my own, taxi driver, if you like. But, everything was done by me. So I'm used to the different elements.
Yeah.
So sometimes I still feel like I'm doing it for myself, but I end up having to pass it over to my agent. And I think, oh, okay, I've got more time on my hands.
Delegation is key, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant. I guess it takes a lot of the stress out of what is a very sort of competitive and busy field. And I suppose because you do quite a lot of mobile work as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
So I guess when you're juggling the two, it's nice to have someone there that's kind of fighting your corner, chasing the payments and doing that for
someone
you.
Someone who can hold your hand when you're feeling a bit down because things aren't going quite right. Maybe it's not so busy, like at the moment it's not been so busy and all that sort of thing. He said, oh, don't worry, it will all catch up. He said, I'm quiet, everyone's quiet, it's not just you. You have a sort of like it keeps you grounded in a way.
Definitely. And I guess we've got 2 times of the year we have Fashion Week, which is usually very, very busy for session stylists. But what other busy periods do you have throughout the year? Because like you said, it can be a little bit up and down. It varies from year to year, really. I mean, this year's been very quiet in comparison, as I said, but the leading up to Christmas it's quite a busy time because a lot of the advertising wants to be done before the Christmas break. Sometimes then literally I've been back in the studio on the 2nd of January because somebody's eager to get going again, and it can go on until around sort of like beginning of February when Fashion Week season across the world starts. Then it sort of quietens down, or it can quieten down, but you can, if you decide not to do Fashion Week for a reason, you can get work that, because so many manicurists are out at Fashion Week, you can get work elsewhere and still be doing what you do. Yeah, peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
So out of all of the session work that you do, obviously you kind of toss up between celebrity, adverts, editorials.
Yes.
What's your favourite kind of shoot?
I like it all. Honestly, I don't really have a strong preference. I like to be paid. I like paid work.
That's always a bonus.
That has to be the key, really, doesn't it? But having said that, for every sort of 4 or 5 paid jobs, I will do a sort of lower paid editorial because you need to keep current with your images on your portfolio. Otherwise, you just want to rely on all your images that you did 2 years ago. They're not going to look so current as something that's come out 2 months ago. So, and people do recognise it in the industry. So it's important to be able to, keep current. And also because there's such a lot of time between when a job is done to when it's published or goes live. You can eke it out over a period of weeks, so it looks like you're continually posting new content, and it keeps things looking fresh and keeps you looking busy in the eyes of the industry.
Definitely, that's a really good point to note actually. So I know that your Instagram account is very active, and you've got your website as well that I believe you've been updating recently. That is so important in terms of keeping yourself out there, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's when I sort of did something with Marion. It was with Mastered, she showed us her physical portfolio, which was like a Bible.
I can imagine.
Which it would be, wouldn't it? Yes. Marion is Marion, and it's wonderful to see. But nowadays everything's done so digitally. You can get everything, and even high-res photographs don't have to be as high-res digitally because there is only a certain screen resolution that will show a photograph. So you can put a lot of things. You can take a photograph from your phone, behind-the-scenes shots that you can't post until the shot's gone live because it doesn't matter then. But behind the scenes, you want to keep it current to the publication.
Definitely. So a note for any budding session stylists is just always keep your cuttings or chase them, I guess. And
I keep the ones
them.
if they're a good editorial with a good publication, they've got a front cover. I always get a physical copy. Then I sort of like take up the pages I want and get rid of the rest.
Yeah.
Read through it first, obviously, because it's a good thing to do. But so I always keep something that, and if it's for a new publication that I haven't worked with before, I'll always keep that one, just in case you work with them again. Then it doesn't matter. You can just put everything digitally.
That's handy to know. And I guess when you're on set, there's usually so many people from what we hear from session nailists that are behind the scenes on a shoot. You've got the photographers, you've got the makeup artists, you've got the hairstylists, all of their assistants.
Yes.
What do you need to bear in mind and consider when you're active on a photo shoot?
It's good to gauge the when you meet everybody first thing in the morning, I'm always about 2 hours early most days because I don't like being late. So a lot of the time I just introduce myself quite often. I've worked with people before, so I just end up going round and introducing, say hi, how are you, what have you been up to, sort of thing. Just general chit chat, and then once all the main sort of like production has arrived, you've got the photographer, the stylist, hair, makeup, leads, yourself. You have a discussion about what their idea of the story is going to be. You get a mood board. The mood board is usually just a reference because it's not an identical copy. It's a lot similar, but not exactly what's being shown to you. Just an idea of where to start from, and quite often it ends up completely different to what you see anyway.
I guess that's one of the challenging things on set that does keep you on your toes, is that the briefs can often change just depending on the day and the fashion and the model and whatever might happen. So very fun sector to be in, but it's not all fun and games, is it? It's a lot of people see it as very glamorous.
I try to have fun.
Okay, no, that's good to know.
I try to have fun. I try, if a day's doesn't seem to be panning out so well, I'll try and sort of keep myself to myself. And if you can tell something's not working for a photographer, or they've maybe they just not had a good day so far, and they don't like what they're doing, they're not going to be very sort of like proactive in being chatty. So you just stay away from it. You keep yourself to yourself. You chat amongst yourselves in the glam room, and you just keep going.
But in terms of, you say about the glam room, but from what we've heard, maybe it's not all glamorous, and that you'll sometimes be under a table, or you'll be lugging kit on the tube. Is that the reality?
I don't use the tube because there's not enough escalators or lifts around. I tend to use the bus. But it depends on the shoot. Depends on what you're needed. If you're doing a big shoot which it's got like 18 models, you're going to need an assistant. So you might need a bigger kit because they will come with their basic kit, and you need to bring all the bits you might need. So it might not necessarily be nail art, but just might be you need a good selection of colours. But they weigh a ton. So that in that case you might get a taxi from the station to the studio. So
always handy.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. And in terms of photo shoots, I mean, you've had such a varied career, and you do so many things. Like, what's your standout photo shoot or celebrity nail gig that you've done? What's your highlight been?
I don't know.
Tricky one.
Yes, that's a tricky one because they're all so individually different. I would say any chance to go abroad is a good one. So I've had that one opportunity as a photo shoot rather than as a fashion show. So that was quite interesting. But I think we covered that in the magazine, didn't we?
Yes, a couple of issues ago, you spilled the story of when you went to Ibiza.
Yes, yeah.
But
I was already in Spain when I got the job, so my kit was back in London. Not in London, in Kent. So I had to fly back. Actually, which the timing was perfect, so I was flying back on the Tuesday, but I had to fly out again on the Wednesday morning.
Oh my goodness!
So and I was it felt like I'd gone around the world by the time I got back, because it was a long day, a long flight, a long time to get there because we couldn't get on the direct flight, so we had to go via Gatwick to Barcelona to Ibiza. So
the exciting life of a session day,
and then get up again at 5 o'clock in the morning after arriving at midnight.
Wow. I can imagine there's lots of early starts.
There is. Yeah, you get used to it. So
because I guess photo shoots, you never know how long they're really going to take, so they tend to start quite early, don't they? And
I mean some jobs I've driven Kent, driven all the way to Ramsgate, which is 65 miles each way. It's an hour and a half's trip. Don't matter if you leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're still going to get there at 6.
Yeah.
And you might need to be there for 7, so it doesn't make any difference. So you just got to get up and go, and then get sent home at 10 o'clock. So you've got to go back again.
So it's not one for people that like a lay-in. Not a career choice for them, I guess.
No, I've got used to a few lanes, but more recently this year. But other than that, so building it back up and getting used to getting used to it again, on a regular basis will probably be a bit of a challenge when that happens.
Yeah. And just in terms of your kit, I mean, we're going to go through it in more detail in a separate video, but an insight into your session kit. But what are your kind of top tips for a session nailist if they're lugging around some really heavy kit at the moment? What tips would you give them?
Make sure your kit, your suitcase, your trolley bag, whatever you want, has good wheels that don't vibrate, because it vibrates all the way up your arm, and if you're rolling it around up and down pavements and things like that and you're getting a vibration up your arm, chances are you could end up with some form of back and neck problem or a hip problem or whatever on the opposite side. So and always check your kit, change arms, Don't carry it. I mean, I'm naughty because I don't. I keep forgetting. But I use my left hand, but I should be using my right from time to time. So a bit like a tennis player has a better arm than right, whichever arm is their tennis arm, they have a better arm than that. So yeah, it's
good wheels on a case,
good
don't
wheels
vibrate.
definitely, but also ones that are durable. That,
Yeah.
you know, they are going to get thrown around. They are going to be pushed under tables and kicked around without you realising it because it's busy. You know, they've got a table full of wigs, you've got a table full of makeup, you've got a table full of, you know, rails full of clothes and shoes on the floor, everything, and sometimes trailing wires. So you've got to be really careful.
Yeah, sound advice. And if a current nail technician is looking to mix up their day to day and wants to enter the competitive session world, what advice would you give them?
I would just approach people who are with agencies, also approach agencies and say you're willing to assist. Being nails, if there's only 3 or 4 models, you don't really need an assistant, but on the occasions where you've got like maybe 8, 9, 10, you're going to need an assistant. Sometimes they're staggered through the day and you can do them yourself, but it's just a full-on day, so it's nice to have that extra pair of hands to sort of maybe just do the prep. But go to the agencies, find out who their manicurists are and just offer your services, because you're starting at the point where it all really starts is with somebody who's signed with an agency. They get the work in. They will know if they need an assistant. They will ask you if you can do it. You can. It's good to be mobile because it's easier to move clients around if you're doing that. So.
Brilliant. And most importantly, that agency can help with your accounts.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nickie. We'll be delving a little bit further into her kit bag and into Nickie's lifestyle on the Scratch website soon. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you.